free before for about 12 years. And, back in those days, the only use.
We can't hear at all, that's
That's because I wasn't saying anything important. Back in those days, Lenny used to cut his hair, and ever since I left, apparently that went by the wayside. As the president said, there are no candidates for the charter review board here tonight. And I'm not a candidate this year. My term doesn't expire for 2 more years, but I'll come back and bug you back then. I want to let you know that I am not here on behalf of the board. I'm only speaking for myself, and primarily because Glenn Smalley asked me to do it. And he said, I had 5 minutes, and I said, I'm a lawyer. 5 minutes, I charge 15 minutes at the time. He says, well, you're speaking for free. So when you get something for free, that's what you get. So let me talk about the Charter Review Board. Let me read the purpose of the board. The only purpose of the Charter Review Board is to, on behalf of the citizens of Sarasota County, to review and recommend changes to the county charter for improvement of the county government. Well, that sounds simple enough, but really in application it's not. The county charter was first adopted in 1971. The Charter Review Board consists of 10 members, 2 from each of the county districts. And the members of the Charter Review Board must live in the district from which they run, but they are elected at large to it. They're elected by all of the voters in the county. The members of the Charter Review Board serve for a term of 4 years, and they serve without pay. You like that, Lynn? I might add, just on a quasi-personal note, because it's a public record, a member of the board, and I don't know which one, it wasn't me, was threatened with bodily harm in the last 3 or 4 months, to the point that the president, the chairman of the board, brought up an issue. That's all he told us, but he wanted the board to spend some funds to hire a off-duty deputy sheriff. And we came to the conclusion that if somebody's going to shoot me, you know, I go to the men's room and he's going to get me. So we voted against it. But nobody's wanting to be paid, and certainly nobody wants to be threatened either. There are 4 ways in which the charter.
Sorry, we can't hear you back here.
We can't hear you. Get that mic up to your mouth. Not in your ear.
Is there volume? Is there a volume control?
There are 4 ways. Better?
Yeah.
There are 4. And I tend to go off when I'm not saying anything interesting or important. There are 4 ways to amend the charter. One is by a petition signed by at least 5% of the registered voters. As of this morning, there were 274,260 registered voters. 5% would be 13,613. The second way of amending the charter is by a law specifically enacted by the Florida legislature. To my knowledge, that's never been done. The third way is by an ordinance passed by the county commission. Also, to my knowledge, in recent history, that has not been done that way. And last, which has been the most popular way, by a recommendation of the Charter Review Board, by a 2/3 majority, would be a 2/3 majority would be necessary. Now, that doesn't mean that it's passed. Necessary to enact, putting it on the ballot, then it's up to the citizens of the county to vote on it. Sarasota County Charter was amended in 1984 to provide for the election of the members of the Charter Review Board. Sarasota County Charter Review Board is the only board in the state of Florida that requires its members to be elected. Some people dispute that, but that was done in 1984 because they were appointed before him, and they said, no, that's not democratic enough. So how am I doing one time?
That 1 minute.
1 minute? Can I pick on you in that 1 minute? We used to have this show all the time. I'd pick on him and he'd tell me to speak up. You haven't learned anything and I did. So I'm done here. Okay. Good.
Thanks, Tony. Are there any questions from the floor for Tony regarding the Charter Review Board? If not, we'll go on to the next section, which is our candidates for circuit judge. Our first candidate is Art Jackman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me know if you can't hear me, okay? Okay. My name is Art Jackman. I'm running for circuit court judge, and we really can't discuss issues in this race. So I want you to tell all of you a little about myself, because really when it comes down to making a decision to vote, I want you to know a little about me. I came from a family with not a lot of money. And as a result of that, I had to work hard in school. With the aid of an Air Force ROTC scholarship, I was fortunate enough to attend the University of Notre Dame. While there, I majored in accounting, and I graduated with honors in accounting. But that's only part of my story. Because I'm going to tell you, when I was like 5 years old, my dad took me to a Notre Dame football game. And I was sold at 5. I wanted to play for the Irish. And I'm going to let you see me.
Rudy. Yeah.
Well, they said I was too small to play. I made the team. And I made the team through sheer will and determination. As I told you, I didn't have, a lot. So, but I was able to play for the Irish. I dressed. I was a walk-on. With the ROTC scholarship, I had a commitment to go into the Air Force. But I received an educational delay. That was a delay so I could attend law school. I went to Albany Law School in New York, and I graduated in the top 4% of my class, and I received several academic honors when I was there. Upon graduation, then the military had me, and I became what's called a judge advocate. And I'm currently a colonel in the United States Air Force Reserve. I am still a judge advocate. I'm still serving the country. After I graduated law school, I was assigned to a base in California where I did lots of courts martial. And I served about 6 years, active duty. In the past, latter few of those years, I traveled the country practicing in federal court, doing courts martial cases. But I'm not sure if you're familiar what a judge advocate does, because it's more than what you see on TV. A judge advocate, they don't fly, but what they do is they practice in all facets of the law. We do labor, we do family, we do environmental. So we practice in a lot of different facets. I left active duty in about 1992, then I proceeded to obtain a Master's of Law from New York University School of Law. They're rated #1 in the country. Notre Dame's accounting program, which I graduated from, is also rated #1 in the country, I think, now. I worked in Manhattan for a little while, and a friend invited me down to Florida. And I fell in love with this community. And I've been a Meadows resident for the past almost 18 years, I think. I'm currently a prosecutor at the state attorney's office. I'm a felony division chief. And during that time, I've worked at the state attorney's office since 1996. And I've tried hundreds of jury cases. I've tried over 15 homicide trials. I tried the bus driver murder case. I tried the double homicide trial recently. I got the minute warning. I'm still serving. After 9/11, I got recalled to active duty. I came back here in, 2009. Since 2009, I've been responsible for the prosecution of, I think, 8,000 felony cases here in Sarasota. We don't have a lot of time to tell you about us as people, but I wanted to tell you a little about myself as a person. So I ask that when you go to vote, that the person who wanted to play for the Irish is going to do his very best to be the best judge I can possibly be. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Art. Susan Lucci.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Grubb, and everyone for inviting me to be here tonight. I've lived here 30 years, and this was the first place I lived in the Meadows. I lived in Harper's Croft for eight or 9 years, and once my family grew, I moved on. But this was a great community to start in. I was sold on Sarasota, Manatee from the minute I saw it, and was lucky to get a job here, and have been here ever since. And I started at the state attorney's office, and when I was there in 1984, I was the only woman there for about a year. There was only one other woman in the state attorney's office in Manatee County. So I started in the juvenile division and worked my way up, and ultimately became a felony prosecutor in Manatee County. And I handled child abuse cases. We had a division that all the child abuse cases were put in that division, and those were my cases. And it was an honor to work in that area. I felt it was really important. It was the first time they ever had a division like that in the state attorney's office here. And I got to work with now Major Connie Shingledecker. She was a new detective, and she and I together tried hundreds of cases, many capital sexual battery cases. After 7 years, I decided to go into private practice, and another prosecutor and I did that. And for 14 years, I was in private practice. In my practice, I did some criminal defense, but I was focused more on families and children. When I was a prosecutor, at that time, the state attorney's office did handle also all the dependency and delinquency cases, all the juvenile cases. And so I knew a lot about child abuse and neglect, and I represented a lot of children, a lot of families, the Guardian program. I did a lot of regular family litigation, became a mediator, and did that for 14 years. In 2004, I was appointed as a family court magistrate, and I did that for 10 years, up until April of this year, when I was required to resign to run for this position. And many of you may not know what a magistrate is, but a magistrate does the same things that the judges do, but not everything the judges do. They don't do jury trials, but they do many other things. I was assigned to the family division primarily. I also did mental health cases and juvenile cases, but I did everything in family court except for domestic violence injunctions. So any trial, any family court trial, if the lawyers wanted the magistrate, they got me in my division, or if they wanted the judge, it was the judge's case. And the way it worked was we pretty much divided evenly all the trials. So during my 10 years, almost 10 years of working there, I tried presided over hundreds of cases. I presided over thousands of cases and hundreds of complex cases, trials that took 2 days or more. And I did that for 10 years. Well, many of you don't know anything about how I did while I did that, but Sarasota County Bar polled the judges and magistrates every other year, and so I was polled for, I think, 5 times, and was very highly rated. The last time I was rated as a 4.24 out of 5, and was rated highly on the other times that I was also polled. I have always been a child advocate, always involved with children's issues while in my practice and as a magistrate. And during my time as a magistrate, I was confronted with the knowledge that teens aging out of foster care were really left without a lot of resources, and I started a charity to help those kids. The charity is still in existence today. It's part of the Children's Guardian Fund, and I've been on their board. I've received awards for my work as a child advocate. I've taught at Judicial College. have been involved in the community and for 25 years, and I ran a business for 14 in my private practice. Thank you so much for inviting us, and I hope you'll all vote on or before the 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Those are our two candidates for circuit judge. Are there any questions of either of our candidates? Yes.
I would like to know why you would want to be a judge.
Are you asking me?
Yes.
All right. Well, I've done the job for almost 10 years, so I'm certainly up to the challenge, and I've done a good job, and it suits me. So yes, I feel like I'm very qualified. And I've been endorsed by many, the sheriff of Manatee County, the former sheriff of Manatee County, and today by the Longboat Observer. Thank you.
And Mr. Jackman, same question?
Same question. Remember I told you the Notre Dame story?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lifelong dream of mine. And it would be the culmination of my career, both all academically, my career as an attorney, my career as a prosecutor, and my career as a Air Force officer. So it really is a dream of mine. So you asked why I want to pursue my dream.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Next are candidates for state representative. Ray Pilon called and said that he was going to be unable to be here because the state legislature has been called into a special session beginning tomorrow morning. His number is 926-8160 if anyone wants to contact him. We thought, in fairness to his opponent, Greg Arpera, that we would ask him to speak, and it will be the only elected officer in which we have only the one candidate speak tonight. So, Greg.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for taking the time to come out. It's very encouraging because I've been knocking on doors for quite a long time now, and we're really going to increase that. And I've been in the Meadows here already. It was received very well, but there's a lot of apathy out there that people don't think that their vote counts. Now, the first thing people ask me is, why would I consider running? I'm 51. Married father, happily, with 6 children. And I have a lot of skin in the game, and I just got back from Afghanistan on a military deployment. And when I was there, quite a frightening experience. When I was there, I remember saying to myself, if I make it back, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do something extraordinary. And when I came back, it took me about 6 months just to heal, to even want to leave the house. And then eventually I started working with birds and started helping seniors and kids with cancers and bringing smiles to everyone. I raised parrots, which is kind of odd, but it's been a rewarding thing because most people have never been close to the large birds, but they bring smiles. So the kids with cancer, all the senior homes that we go to. But it was during that time that I met someone who said, wow, would you like to work with veterans in the 12th Judicial Court? So I said, sure, why not? So I work with all of the prosecutors, and I work with the Sheriff's Department, and I work with the judges and the private attorneys. And what we do is we take any veteran that has an issue, especially our men and women coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and any problems they have that make them come in contact with the law, we have a veterans court that says if there's any way possible to put that veteran into diversion care so that we don't end up the way we did with our Vietnam veterans, then they will do that. In the last 18 months, I've had over 700 veterans in the program. Only 2% have even reoffended, and it has been a phenomenal program that has put many men and women back with their families instead of in jail, where in a lot of other states that's where they're ending up, just to be let out now with even worse things. Well, I thought that was going to be the big thing, and I've really enjoyed doing that, but a group came to me and said, how would you like to run for office? We really think you could help a lot of people. And at the time I said, I'm flattered, thank you, but no thank you. So my wife says, well, that's kind of neat. Why wouldn't you do it? And I said, it is one of the most nastiest things I can think of. And she said, well, what are you afraid of? I said, I'm not afraid of anything. I don't like it. It's very ugly. And she said, well, if the insurgents didn't get you, what could your opponent do? And if you know my wife, that was like, okay, now you're going to run, right? So you're not. So anyways, I entered the race, and it's been very rewarding. And we're running this as I tell everybody, where I'm a naval officer and a gentleman. We're going to run this thing with no negative. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and you can worry about what my opponent or anyone else is going to do. We'll stay on the high road, and that's the way we do it, walking and talking. Well, when I said skin in the game, what I like to tell people is I'm experienced. I've run multi-billion-dollar budgets as a government contractor. I've run multi-million-dollar budgets working for corporate America. But down on the level where I'm finding the most interest is I have 6 children I put through public school. And I think highly of the public school system, especially in Sarasota. And I still have 2 girls out of my 6 children that are still in school. So I have a lot of skin in the game on what happens with education. I'm still a small business owner. I've been a small business owner most of my life. And there's a lot of things we could do to become more competitive here in Florida. And that's something that I want to change. I'm very familiar with the legal system, and there's some things there that we can help, and we won't talk issues tonight. But take the veterans, which is a big issue, and I've been there, I've done that, I know what they face. I've come back from combat. There's a lot of things that we could do for our veterans that we're not doing. That's something that's very high on the list. And then you've already heard about the children issues that we have, and with the elderly. So there's a lot of things on the plate, and people don't understand the state legislature can do quite a bit. And when we start electing folks that aren't career politicians, you may see some difference in how things get done. So all I can tell you is, people keep on saying, well, your name's getting out there, so if you don't do it, you can run again. And that's not for me. This is an opportunity. We're going big or we're going to go home. So if you want somebody who lives in the neighborhood, somebody who's been here a long time, somebody with skin in the game, been there, done that, walked the walk and talked the talk, then I would hope you would consider voting for me. You'll find I am not on the primary, so I saw a lot of people looking at their primary ballots. I'm not there. We'll be there in either November or December. Thank you very much for all your time again. Thank you.
Does anyone have a question, Mr. Carroll? Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name.
My name is Greg Carr, and I'll stay till the end, and I have cards and anything on the way out for anyone. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Where do you stand on Common Core?
On Common Core, I am all for a federal program, even though it wasn't put together by federal, it was put together by states. I am there for the critical thinking and something where my kids have experienced moving state to state in the military and having to get into one school and then get to another one and not keeping up. There needs to be some type of national standard, and there's millions of kids